is Screen Slush, an unhealthy mix of film, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Screen Slush,
Hey.
the podcast where we talk about a lot of things, including movies, TV, video games. Here's what I'll say, Brent. I don't like the joke.
We talk?
I don't like this joke anymore.
Okay.
Because I realize that we've had this running joke where we ban books,
Sure.
we don't read it. But now I'm realizing that it's actually happening. And I was like, I don't know. It feels weird now. We obviously love books.
I get that.
We love books.
We love books.
We love them. We just don't read them that often. That's why we don't talk about it that often.
Listen, we're 21st century lads here,
Yeah.
all right? We're watching that new media. We're watching shows.
There's movie or TV adaptations of every book by now. So we prefer
true.
that, but we're not anti-book, okay?
Hey,
we support full libraries.
Absolutely. Full libraries, all the books, let kids read whatever.
Let them read whatever.
Listen, are you there, God? It's me, Brent. I'll be there day one for the movie adaptation. Know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Stephen King's Me. I'll watch that movie all the time. I don't know if this is true. Stephen King's got to be the most adapted author, right? Like in terms of media? Who else would it be?
Trying to run through. I feel like yes.
Crichton's up there, but I mean, he's just got these big blockbuster successes. But quantity-wise,
Stephen King just has such a not filmography. What do they call it?
Kind of a prolific bibliography.
He has so many books.
Yeah.
Bibliography, right?
Yeah.
He just has so many, and they work well for movie adaptation. I feel like yes.
I mean, even rivaling, I think, the Bible. I'm not even joking, because I mean, I guess there's a lot of biblical. Look, Gods and Monsters, Bible adaptation. Aronofsky's Noah, Bible adaptation. But I don't know, 10 Commandments. I guess there is a lot of Bibles, Bible-inspired stories, but that's a big book. That's not fair.
Listen, thanks to the internet, I have our answer.
Okay.
We nailed it. So number one, with a bullet, or with an axe, maybe I should say. Stephen King with 34. Guess.
Wow.
Okay. This is a fun little game now.
Guess
the next. Guess the next two.
Okay, if number one is 34. Okay, 34. The next one would need to have less than 34, which actually is not difficult. There's not a ton of them. I mean,
I'll just say number three. Fuck number three. I just don't want to talk about her. But yeah, guess
JK. That's JK Rowling. Number 3 is JK Rowling. Harry Potter. That makes sense because of all. Number 2. There's no way it's J.R.R. Tolkien. Is it Tolkien?
No, he's not even on the top 8.
Wow.
From what I'm seeing.
Okay, Peter Jackson's made 6 of them, so that's okay. I can't believe I don't know.
You know what? I probably never would have gotten this. Nicholas Sparks.
Oh, fuck. You're right.
He has 11.
He's got a ton. I just don't know that much of his books, but I do know that he, I mean, probably has 6 that I've seen, or at least know.
Right.
About.
Yeah. We're not a couple of Sparks heads here on this pod. Yeah. And I already closed the tab with the others. So,
no, it's fine. It's fine. But that is a high bar. 34 may not be matched in a very long time. Not a lot of authors have 34 books.
I mean, yeah, the guy just has so much output, and then there are remakes,
Tom Clancy? Or wait, what is that? What's Jack Ryan? What's that?
That's like,
are those books?
Some of them are. That's a good question. I don't recall seeing Tom Clancy on the list. I think they take the character.
Yeah. That might
and then put him in, write scripts with him, because it's the same thing that Tom Clancy did with video games. Do you know the Tom Clancy video game thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
It's just like a fascinating kind of like branding IP thing
Yeah, that's true.
They just slap his name on like
Yeah.
Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six.
He's a brand, and
he's a
let's be
brand.
honest, Stephen King's books are very well. Never mind. I don't want to besmirch Tom Clancy, but his genre can be adapted from anything with the CIA. Like it's a very there's nothing like apart from Jack Ryan himself and maybe
exactly. Tom Clancy is an idea. It's not even. It's not a story. It's not a character.
Tom Clancy is the deep state, basically. He inspires the deep state. Okay, this is fucked up. All right.
I mean,
anyways,
he makes movies for airport Republicans. Let's be honest.
And they sell them at airports. But this is our defense of books. Okay, so that's it.
We love them.
In defense of books, play this at your local congressman's office. They won't want to ban books anymore because we said J.K. Rowling, Tom Clancy, Stephen King. They will be on board. They'll know. All right, we're going to kick it off with some news, and then we'll talk about some things that we've watched, movies and TV this week, or games we played. Let's talk about something that is time sensitive, and that is the impending writer's strike, or possible writer's strike. The Writers Guild voted overwhelmingly, I think it was like 98%, to authorize the strike. From what I was going to say, from what I'm hearing, but it's almost like it's so anecdotal because it's from what I'm hearing from people who are telling me what they're hearing is that the talks have been basically just people reading from written statements and no actual negotiating. And this is normal. Look, they have until May 1st, so I assume things will happen May or April 29th or 30th. Like it will be literally until the last moment. But the focus of these negotiations with the Producers Guild are around streaming residuals and how streamers are taking advantage of the WGA. There is some reporting out now that about half of the productions are being paid on a minimum basis. So basically, they're getting paid minimum wage for half of the productions out there. Writers are getting paid literally the lowest possible rate for everything that they're doing. And then, of course, there is no residual, I think, policy for writers that work with streamers. They get paid one time, no matter how successful your movie or TV show is on streaming. You get paid once. And you just kind of take what you can for the next season. And that's why whenever they announce second seasons, it's good because that's the first time they're going to get a raise. The writer of Squid Game got paid very little and now gets to be paid more for season 2. But we will see what happens here. I guess, we obviously are pro writers and they shouldn't be getting paid so little. But on the broader sense, if the strike happens, there were a lot of casualties from the 2000-2008 writers' strike in terms of movies and TV shows that just went away. And some streamers may want this to happen because they could get to cancel these really massive contracts. Once the strike happens, they can be like, okay, we're not paying anyone anything anymore. We're not paying these $200-300 million deals anymore. But what do you think about this strike, Brent? You crossing the picket line? You have your spec scripts ready to go?
Oh man, I'm gonna be hitting the courtroom steps. I don't know how.
So you're courtroom. So you're writing the Judge Judy copy. Is that what you're?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. She's the one overseeing the whole thing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a real court.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's they got to get what they deserve, man. And I think it's going to be really interesting because I think the 2008 writer's strike had a lot of casualties, but the ones that I think a lot of people witnessed, actually saw on screen, were very interesting. Because like a lot of shows, had like shortened seasons, had seasons that felt very incomplete, very rushed. I'm thinking of like Lost, Battlestar Galactica. I know Battlestar Galactica's season, I think 4, got hindered in a very big way by the writer's strike. So it's going to be very interesting. And especially in this day and age when there is just so many shows and potential movies, it's going to be very interesting if this thing, goes on for a while. like, what things get axed because of it, or what
gets pushed back,
shows suffer for it, like have shortened seasons. The effects are going to be, if it goes on for a while, which, like, I think everybody hopes that it doesn't. I hope that the writers can, figure out, can agree to terms where they're getting kind of what they deserve and they're getting residuals and things like that. But it is also going to be interesting how, like, if and when that happens, like, how the studios and how the streamers respond by probably canceling shows to, like, save money and things like that.
And to just give some numbers, about a fourth of all primetime shows just were canceled for the 2007 strike, and that's 25% of all shows. That lasted 100 days. That strike was 100 days long.
Ooh, damn. So I think just by sheer volume of like, I don't know the numbers on how many more regular shows are on now, but
probably a ton,
lot more. And so I think that there's, if they can't come to an agreement, I think we're definitely going to get announcements of probably even a lot of beloved shows that are just like, it's canceled because the writers are on strike and we can't come to an agreement. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out over the next couple of months.
Yeah, history has taught us that the corporations will normally use this, if the strike happens, as an excuse, because it makes all contracts null and void. So it doesn't matter if you have like 10 seasons approved for your show, the network can now be like, well, we don't want it anymore. We're done. And it's normally a big reset time. I think, I'm sure they want out of these really massive, for a while, people were getting some crazy deals, $100 million first look deals. But overall, I think it'll be a positive. There's just so many weird freaking things that happen. And, like, just to exploit people who want to be in the industry. Like, right, there's something not awful. Okay, never mind. There's something called, like, hip pocketing with agents, where they'll, like, represent you, but they won't help you get jobs. But if you do get a job, you got to pay them now, like, there's all this weird stuff. And writers are, the ones that, look, it begins with the written word. You can't do anything without a script. And, like,
absolutely,
it's just in terms of just, like, logically getting the props together. You don't know unless there's a script. You don't know what lines to say unless there's a script. You don't know what cameras and lenses and how many days it's going to take without the script. But these are the people that are normally the ones who are asked to rewrite things very quickly, and they take advantage of so many people who just want to be in the business. They've been doing this. Streamers have been doing these, like, they call them, like, writers' rooms, but they can't call it that because then they have to pay writers. So instead, they give them these weird names where it's just like a story working meeting. Everyone's unpaid, but it's fine. If it goes, they'll pay you minimum. But it sucks because people will do it. Like, if they told us, hey, Netflix might want to do the show, you've got to work on it for 3 months, you're not going to get paid, would you still do it? We'd probably be like, yeah, cool.
Because if it gets made, then you can be like, well, I was in the story. I was one of the story fellas on whatever project.
So it's weird, but I think it's going to end up being good. And our next story kind of leads into this, because the next story involves a big streamer. And honestly, one of the, I don't want to say the biggest culprits in this, kind of big. They are kind of the patient zero of the big streaming shift, and that is Netflix. They're also one of the only big streamers that doesn't have, like, a giant corporation that has a linear television behind them. So they're all they're doing is Writers Guild minimums a lot of times. But they announced, because of a shareholders meeting, some things that they're going to change with the streaming service, and there was that big correction when it came to their stock price where they lost a ton of value. And now they're talking about how the password sharing has been impacted worldwide. Obviously, a lot of us share passwords, but they cracked down in Latin America. They cracked down in Canada first before they brought that to the United States. And they shared the information that it worked really well for them, that they did lose subscribers, but they, as a net, gained subscribers because it forced people to change their passwords. And their ad business seemed to have worked out. I don't know. I don't have Netflix with ads, but apparently it is working for them, and advertisers are paying them, and they have enough people that they're now selling out of some of their inventory when it comes to ads, which is, it's a piece of news, because Netflix is so adamant about not having ads for a long time. And now you're like, okay, well, they're just a TV station. Like, they're kind of like everyone else. They're selling ads. But how do you feel about Netflix? They haven't gotten back to their former glory of giant market caps and a ton of money coming in every month. They're kind of still trying to recover from that big correction. But would you cancel Netflix? Is it like high on your list of subs? Subs is short for subscription, not for subordinate or whatever the kinky one is.
Oh, good, because that's what I jumped. That's
they're on your list of kinks.
No, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, man, because like, oh boy, I think I've heard a lot of family members and stuff talk about like, oh, they're not going to do that. If they do, like, we're going to cancel. And it's like, the way I view Netflix now is, I don't know, man. They're like a microwave. It's like, it's like, I can't foresee a world where I just don't have it, even though I don't use it that often.
I see.
The microwave thing, I'm losing it now. But yeah, it's just kind of like, I can't foresee, because it's like, if I don't have it, it's like, if somebody's like, oh, do you see the new Netflix show Beef or whatever, or some other thing, Shadow and Bone season 2. And it's like, no, I don't have it. I don't have Netflix anymore. It's just, if somebody told me like, I don't have Netflix, I'd be like, huh, that's interesting. It's just kind of it's almost like a damn like utility now. It's like a damn appliance, with all the excitement that comes with one. But I don't know. Am I using? No, Netflix is one that I pay for. But listen, I got some people, sucking the teat a little bit. So
yeah, for sure. And I don't know the specifics of it. I think they might use your IP address, and people are saying, what if you're on vacation or on your phone, and it's like, you could have the 4-stream one or whatever, where it's multiple streams, which I assume a lot of people already have without knowing that they're paying for multiple.
Right.
There's only one tier of Netflix where it's a single stream, which is the lowest tier. And I don't think anyone really,
I think I have like the 2-person, 2-stream.
Okay, yeah. At least most people have like 2 or 4 or 3. I don't know. But it is interesting how, for me, unless someone recommends a specific show like you did with Beef, I'm on Netflix looking for like movies that are from other studios that I might be able to find somewhere else.
Yeah. Me too,
and then there are those big phenomenon shows like Stranger Things and Squid Game. But they and maybe like British Bake Off. I guess there's enough for me to keep it a year, but I'm just not a guy like. I think some people write about people that do this churn thing where they'll cancel it until there's something they want to watch. I'm just not like that. I'm
know. Not like that either. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should be just like
your microwave. It's not like you unplug your microwave and plug it in when you need to use it.
For a while, just throw it out my window. I mean, maybe I should be financially like that, because I mean, I feel like up until Beef, like I can't even remember the thing that I used it for last. Like I don't really check Netflix that often.
Yeah.
And I know they're swapping things in and out all the time. There's always something new that, like the fucking Thing prequel was like on the top 10 a while back when they put it on there. Like, it's always interesting to see what weird, inexplicable like 90s movie is like jumping up on the top 10 there. But man, it's gonna be interesting to see. I guess they've deemed that it's not hurting them as much as maybe they thought it might. So it's gonna be.
They said that there's 100 million users who are using other people's passwords, and it's blatant enough that they know, because the IP addresses are so different and they're constantly on. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a lot of people. 100 million accounts, and they're like, it doesn't even matter, like, if they're here or not. I think the one streaming service that is maybe the least on anyone's radar of what they're paying for, or not even knowing like how they pay or whatever, is Amazon Prime, because I think it's part of just like the Prime, the overall Prime, where you're getting stuff delivered, and so most people just don't even know they have it or are using it, but not sure like for what. That's the one that I think is like the most they're protected. Does that make sense? Because people have it just because they are also like slaves to Amazon. But
yeah, it's part of such a massive
yeah,
like deal. I mean, yeah, I mean, I was even like that when like it was a while ago now, but when I found out like, oh, when you have Prime, you also have their streaming stuff, and I checked it out, and I was like, there's a lot of shit on here. What the hell?
For a while, it was garbage too. For a long time, you'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to watch this."
The app is still pretty dog shit, honestly.
It's honestly weird that you have separate apps for Amazon. I mean, it makes sense. Like, I don't want to like be buying underwear and then accidentally clicking on Monday Night Football or anything. But it is weird.
I like that overlap actually.
That's I think one of the weirdest and maybe most like eventually very predatory things that they haven't turned on yet, like watching The Boys and then just automatically having merch in your cart or something for your Alexa turns on, and they own the friggin' Ring doorbells now too. Like your Ring doorbell is telling you there's a ghost outside, so you can watch
while you're getting a fresh pair of boxer briefs. How about watching David Lean's A Brief Encounter from 1945? Like,
they're like, you don't have 15 minutes to watch this short we paid $1 billion for. Don't worry, we'll turn on your Roomba remotely and whatever. Weird, just weird.
We know what's on your carpet. We know you want to watch this short film.
Like, the weird thing is we just got this. It's not a Roomba even, but we got this new Roomba-like vacuum, and it has multiple cameras on it. And I was like, why does it need this? And it maps out our whole place. I was like, I don't like that. That's interesting.
I mean, deep somewhere in the basement of Seattle, there's like a mapped out grid of your entire
of so many people's houses, and they're like, that guy needs a bigger couch. That guy's in the shower right now. Let's send him a loofah or something. That's weird. Anyways, let's talk about some stuff that we watched. Oh shoot, you know what? I have these drops. I didn't play any of them. All right, that was the new stuff and old stuff drop. And let me play the movie news one, but this one was for earlier. All right, cool. All the drops all at once. That's not confusing. Everybody knows. All of them don't have audio either, so they're all visual. So unless you pay for the Patreon, you didn't see what those drops were for.
Just silence.
Just silence. What's some new stuff that you've been watching, Brent?
Do you want to talk about The Thing that all of us checked out? We're going to bring it up?
Of course, yeah.
Okay,
Evil Dead Rises, right? Is that what
Rise?
Or we're talking about that dead body we found by the train tracks?
It's just, it's just Evil Dead Rise, not Rises, because it wasn't about Senator Palpatine.
I was just talking earlier today, I'm not even joking, at an event that had a lot of kids, and I was bringing up the Minions, Gru. Wait, the Rise of Gru?
Rise of Gru.
And I'm in my head, I was like, everything's rising now. Like, it's like a thing to be the rise, the Evil Dead Rise, the Rise of Gru. Something evil rises. Anyways, Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah. We saw directed by Lee Cronin. Cronin. Jesus. We checked it out last night. And it was a lot of fun. It had a lot of like kind of the signature Evil Dead kind of like trademarks that I guess this franchise IP whatever kind of has. But like some really wild sequences.
Truly, just
balls to the wall. There's some genuinely.
You said it was like one of the most intense movies you've seen in a long time in terms of I guess the mutilation. What would you say? Is it the violence of it that you're like? It's intense,
yeah,
or?
I mean, I think on a visceral, like a blood and gore level, but also just like in terms of like thematic content, in terms of like it's a family now.
Nothing's
some,
off
like,
limits. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty upsetting. I don't think I really loved it. I liked it a good amount. I just think that some of the like, I think the kind of like family dynamic, and kind of like some of the like a lot of the actors kind of didn't totally work for me, but still a lot of fun. 90 minutes, man. Just great. Just in and out. Some wild sequences. Yeah, good time. I liked it.
This movie was gripping. I think that there's it's one of the few horror franchises that doesn't really have a like straight up stinker movie. And part of that is because they don't make like one every year or 2 years. It's like a pretty solid like franchise of movies. This one's unique because it takes place in downtown LA, instead of the forest, although there are some, really great homages to like all of the other Evil Dead films. But it is incredibly, I would say it's actually pretty cinematic how they use every sense, and very sensorial. They when you're in it, they will make you feel everything, and it is incredibly intense. I want to ask you, what did you think, and without spoiling anything, getting too specific, about not only the homages to Evil Dead, but the homages to other horror films that it was unexpected for me to see this being more of like a exploration of that, which I assume is like a directorial effort, because he's like, this stuff was effective for me as a kid or growing up, but that took me off guard. I didn't know that was going to be in there.
Yeah, I personally liked it. The one big one in particular is what I'm thinking of, where it was like, we all know that fucked up haunting thing.
Yeah.
What if we had a couple of people? I don't know that. Hopefully that's
no, that's vague enough.
Vague enough, yeah. But I like that, and I think that's kind of at the point when the movie is really doubling down on just like the nasty, kind of cruel nature of what Evil Dead is. And it's like, I saw somebody that said it's kind of like a combination of the what is it, 2013 Fede Alvarez movie, and kind of like the older, kind of like more comical ones.
That makes sense.
I really wanted it to kind of go a little kind of more old school Evil Dead. Personally, I wanted it to be a little more
less grounded,
like, and stuff like that. But I mean, it definitely had like the 2013's vibe of like genuinely a lot of like really fucked up sequences and kind of set pieces and stuff like that. But I thought those homages were pretty cool. I liked them.
I thought, I thought it was a solid horror film. I think it is very like we've been talking about, incredibly visceral, kind of unique maybe in that way to the Evil Dead franchise, and kind of the lore around why it is the way it is, and the maybe the intentions of the actual evil, which is really, really intense. But I thought it was good. And I think that there's also like, man, Lee Cronin's a good filmmaker, because there's just some really good crafted sequences in it. There's a lot of them, but and they go past what a ton of other horror things go through, which was surprising because we watched it with a bunch of kids in the audience. But
that was I tweeted that I didn't know what was more upsetting, the movie or the fact that there was like an 8-year-old in front of us, and I was just like,
8-year-olds that stole our seats. Let's be honest.
That is true.
They stole our seats.
They did steal our seats,
but it's fine. It's not NBD, okay? It's not a big deal.
Right behind them,
cool.
Passive aggressive.
We're cool about it. We did follow them home.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. But I think it'll be interesting where the franchise goes from here, I think. And did you look up the cameo that's in this or no? If not, we'll talk about it off pod because there is one. And I didn't know because there was a certain person at the premiere of this, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And they were in it. And I was like, oh, but I had to look it up because I was like, okay, what?
Well, I'm excited. Yeah, I didn't know
about this person. Oh, well,
yeah.
I'm going to go too far. Okay. Anyways, but watch Evil Dead Rise if you can. I'll
if you have the stomach for it, don't eat beforehand.
Stomach for it, yeah.
It's an icky one. Yeah.
Okay. I watched something on. Well, I'll wait, I guess, until I finish beef because I watched that because you forced me to. I did watch a show on BBC that I had watched maybe like last week, but I didn't want to talk about it until I completed it, and it really didn't take long because it's a BBC show that only ran for 3 episodes, 1 season. It was a hit it and quit it type deal. Yeah. A 3-episode season of a comedy called Ambassadors from the BBC. It's on Freevee. Speaking of Amazon, they have like a free version of the app. It's about a ambassador and his staff in a fake country in Central Asia called Tajikistan. Mm-hmm. It has very, I would say, English humor, very wry. There's some like political commentary that is so, I think, like dated for that specific time. Like there's jokes about 2012 in it. Like and Obama, and I was like, that's like not even something I remembered until now, that happened that 1 year, but whatever. But it is a very it's kind of a mixed type of genre because it's a comedy where it's not incredible, like the situations they're in are farcical, but there's some very intense things happening and some really like maybe dated jokes, not just in terms of like the context of the political stuff, but very like, ooh, that joke wouldn't fly now kind of stuff. Yeah. And I don't know how I feel about it. And maybe that's why I don't understand the whole 3-episode thing that happens in England all the time, where it's like, oh, just a couple eps and we're out of here. Fuck it. We didn't even write anymore. So I was like, this was overall maybe 2.5 hours. These 3 episodes were maybe 2.5 hours. Yeah. And I just don't understand why it wasn't a movie.
They pulled a Sherlock.
Yeah,
they did 3 and then they'll be back in 6 years to do
That's
more.
True, except they didn't come back. And I was like, well, I don't understand. Like, why isn't this 40 episodes or why wasn't it just one thing? But yeah, I watched Ambassadors on Freevee. Hit up that Freevee. There's some really weird stuff on there.
There is, man. Yeah. I'm in the middle of actually watching something. Maybe I'll bring up next week on Freevee. I totally forgot it existed.
Ooh la
la. But yeah, I also finished a show. I almost brought it up last week, but I hadn't finished the finale yet. Shrinking on Apple TV
with Harrison Ford, right?
With Harrison Ford and Jason Segel, Jessica Williams, who I love anytime she shows up in anything. She is like, she's so fucking funny. Yeah, it is a comedy from, I think, 2 of the creators of Ted Lasso. That kind of vibe is kind of what you can expect from Shrinking. It's about these therapists who kind of all work at the same what do you call it?
Firm or
clinic
practice. Yeah,
practice. I guess.
Also, the show Shrinking. Did they make a show about me in the shower? I think everybody knows.
There you go.
Everybody knows.
Take cold showers? Or...
No, that's a hot shower.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Just,
you should go to a clinic.
Maybe
get that checked out.
Yeah.
No, but it's really good. I mean, it has a similar vibe to Ted Lasso where it's got, very clever, witty dialogue. Mm-hmm. It is a very feel good show, but it also doesn't really shy away from like the kind of like cathartic darkness that is in a lot of our lives. Like it gets into things, and especially with them being therapists.
Man, that's you saying that it's from the people who made Ted Lasso makes me think they were just like, we should just make the subtext text, like we should just do a thing for the thing that we are trying to hint at and just make it a whole.
I think they do. And It's, you know, I'm enjoying this season of Ted Lasso, but I think I thoroughly kind of enjoyed Shrinking more than I kind of am enjoying overall Ted Lasso now. I think
Oh. We'll talk
first
about
off,
it when the season's done, but I think I share your thoughts on Ted Lasso.
yeah, I mean, I have been a Jason Segel fan since like How I Met Your Mother. I just like I want the guy to work more because I'm such a big fan of him, and I don't think he's ever been better than he is in the show. Like it asks a lot of him. Like he is very big comedically, but
Oh.
also the show has some dark stuff that it gets into, and he carries that. And I think Harrison Ford,
I was going to
uh,
ask you about him because I
yeah,
feel like in this stage of his career, I don't see him. He's doing a lot of the old man roles in
yeah.
his stuff now, so I don't know what he's like in this.
It's I was a little
You can't help who you
trepidatious.
are. He is an old man, so I don't want to
I
like,
yeah, and
expect more.
he plays kind of like the kind of like stick in the mud, kind of like old wise, cranky, obviously,
Okay.
you know, guy
Harrison
who
Ford's back, baby.
right, yeah, at the firm. But like what I love about it is that like he's bringing it. Like he's bringing it to the material. The thing that I was kind of like overall I think kind of like a little like whatever about the show, like I didn't know if I kind of wanted to really check it out is because it looked a little sappy and kind of like maybe overwrought or something like that.
Mhm.
But the thing is like the writing for the show is pretty by and large great, and like the writing for Harrison Ford's characters is really great. Like there's a great dynamic between Jason Segel, Jessica Williams, and Harrison Ford where they're like coworkers, but like he's Harrison Ford is like Jason Segel's mentor, and there's like a whole dynamic with like Jason Segel's daughter in the show,
Yeah.
and Harrison Ford. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think it's like it seems to be consistently on the top for Apple TV. I think people are getting into it. So yeah, great first season. Really feel good, but doesn't shy away from, you know, some serious stuff here and there. So I'd recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have to be ready for something like that. But I think I'm excited to see Harrison Ford in anything he does. I don't think I've seen him
He's
do
great.
TV that often. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
kind of wild they got him, but like it's a good role that has like that's what I appreciate about the show too, is like there are truly arcs for
yeah.
like every character in the first season of the show. And like he goes to places, and yeah, it's really cool to see.
Jason Segel is in the next thing that I watched, which is a little old, and I mean, I was gonna say it for next week, but I watched This Is the End, the comedy. I don't even know when did that movie come out. I'll look it up right now. This Is the End is a comedy starring a bunch of famous people from 2013,
Yeah.
directed by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, starring Seth Rogen and
Danny
Danny
McBride and
McBride
Jay
and Jonah Hill. Jay
Baruchel.
Baruchel is, I think, maybe the main character of the show. Just a ton of famous people being,
Yeah.
stuck together after the apocalypse happens. It's super silly. It's super meta. It's about Hollywood. It's
Yeah.
good. It's super quotable. There's strong Michael
Yeah.
Cera moments going on in it.
Danny McBride is unhinged
Danny
in that
McBride is
movie.
so good. I've seen everything he's done, I think, because after
Same.
HBO
Yeah.
Max happened, I just watched Vice Principals. I watched,
Hell yeah.
I just watched all the stuff he did, and I was like, okay, cool.
It's all good, man.
Sophia hates it though, because I start talking like him. Because I'm like, when I binged them, I would have seen like 3 or 4 a day of Danny McBride shows, and I just start having that slang, You're like, what the hell is
Just
this?
saying, yeah, exactly. What the hell are you
Yeah.
talking about, man?
But yeah,
Yeah.
funny movie. I remember watching this in the theaters and just having a good time. But I was of the age that like this movie was going to be. If Letterboxd was around at that time, this would be my number one movie of the year. It's kind of marketed towards
Oh yeah.
young men, college age, who like to party, and it's
Yeah.
super silly. And I do feel like I would have loved to seen a documentary about the making of this movie, because it feels
It'd
like
be
such a
fun.
because even like Rihanna, Mindy Kaling, Kevin Hart, there's like such small role, celebrity roles in it.
Yeah.
Emma Watson, that I feel like it was like a really hilarious set to be on, and I feel like I'd like more of it. to like,
for sure.
it's kind of why people liked Ocean's 11 in the freaking 70s. It was all these famous people just hanging out and kind of being who you seem Dean Martin was, off screen. And I think we should demystify it and make it less pretty and perfect, make fun of each other.
Yeah, that was in that prime era, man, when like Rogan and the Apatow crew were kind of taking over everything. And that movie was kind of like the Avengers of the Apatow era, where like, you'd seen Superbad, you'd seen Knocked Up, whatever. And then it kind of all comes to a head in that movie. I liked that movie a lot. I rewatched it recently because I was like, why haven't I seen this movie as much as Superbad when it has like all the people,
from Superbad? Yeah,
exactly. And like, and I liked it quite a bit. I don't like love it the same way that I do some of those like mid to late 2000s movies, but I do appreciate that.
It's because it is sort of about nothing apart from Jay and Seth's relationship. Like that's the
for sure
center point. But then you're like, well, why is Jonah Hill just hilarious? And like, it's kind of about their bits.
It's kind of a like weird like hangouty movie. I do appreciate something that it seems like Rogan and Goldberg have done consistently with a lot of their movies is doubling down at the end. Like the end of that movie is buck wild.
Yeah.
It is insane. And I mean, I'm thinking
like Sausage Party.
Remember Sausage Party too, man. Like I really appreciate that that they've gotten these opportunities to write and then direct a lot of things, and they've really, I mean, The Interview, they doubled down pretty fucking hard at the end to the degree that there were socio-political things that happened,
repercussions.
Yeah, so I think it's cool that they take those opportunities and are like, well, fucking let's go big. And that's really cool that they do that.
And that pair is branching out of comedy, and they've got a super successful production company now that produces The Boys and, Invincible and Darkwing Duck that's coming out soon. So it's cool to see them kind of become kind of institutions almost. But you're like creatures, like really big hits that are not the comedies you assume from the two. But for sure. Hey, what else have you seen?
Let's see. I was going to bring up another Apple show, but I am only a few episodes in, so I'll wait on that one. I'm going to talk Spotlight, directed by Tom McCarthy, I want to say, which I rewatched the other day, just because I was kind of in the mood for like a good kind of procedural kind of process movie, I guess. And I remember that one being pretty great. And it's a fucking great movie, man. I mean, listen, you and I both love movies about people that are good at their jobs, working through the process of something, figuring something out.
Well, maybe this is a little too on the lighter side, but Air is kind of like that. Like it is about contract negotiations.
It is, yeah.
We just like the best actors delivering incredibly kind of boring lines.
I mean, just figuring shit out, talking about like systems, basically. Like, I could watch like Damon
People's schedule,
McAdams, fucking Keaton, for fuck's sake. Like Ruffalo loves these, and I love him for it. I mean, Ruffalo's in Zodiac too, which somebody said Spotlight is like Zodiac without murder, and they're totally right.
We basically are like watching people's 9 to 5s, and we could probably just pay attention at work more.
I mean, I know, right? Like it's but I mean, some things that I kind of recognized this time watching Spotlight is that, like, damn, is the script like incredible. Like it is able to make these scenes and reveals emotional and dramatic without like being didactic about it. Like I think about something like She Said that came out, and I generally liked I liked it, but I feel like kind of gets a little heavy-handed in a lot of moments. Whereas I think Spotlight is it has so much integrity about like the kind of like journalism aspect of it. Where it's like it's not even showy about it. Like a movie like The Post, I love. It's a very well executed journalism movie, but even that kind of like Spielberg is that's his thing, man. He hams stuff up. And Spotlight is like a very fucking just like by the books, like actors delivering the dialogue, having great scenes.
Well, the best, I think maybe well, I mean, maybe I'm speaking for myself, but like the template for this is All the President's Men from
S tier. Absolutely.
It's like,
I mean, we just graded the top 5 for ourselves.
I know. Well, it is like, you know, it's maybe a sort of commentary on not just journalism, but like how truth is just like verified and solidified and just breaks into the, you know, the kind of just the common knowledge, you know, like we all know about the fucked up stuff the Catholic Church does. For sure. And some people may not even know why. And it's because of these people. Like, you know, people know like that Nixon was fucked up. But they're like, oh yeah, Watergate. But they're like, it's because those two guys were doing that stuff that they were doing.
It's the type of movie that is, I truly feel like is important. And I think a lot of movies try to kind of put on airs of being important, whether it's to like sell tickets or whether it's to win awards or something. But it's like Spotlight is truly the kind of movie where it's like these people, and obviously there are other people that did similar things around the same time and before and a long time in the past, but like what they did at this moment in time was very crucial in like unveiling a lot of the systemic problems that were around us, you know? So Spotlight, if you haven't seen it, I think it's like truly like one of the best movies of like the last decade. I feel like I say that a lot on this pod.
Well, and there's every movie is the best movie, but this movie won the Best Picture award. So I mean, it was
I forget about that.
Very cool. Well received. There is like a title card at the end of this movie, which kind of punches you in the fucking gut.
It is a gut punch.
Which is what 2 blocks away from where I am right now is our city's Catholic diocese office for this type of abuse.
We were on there, dude.
And it happens so often that there's like an office building that is only for that and settlements, which when I walk by, I'm like, this is wild. But I think it's also impressive that this was such a good movie. Like it could have been, it made the discovery and the story and like how personal it is for some of these people. There's an amazing scene where someone's like, damn, I should run out of my house and see how close this guy is. But it's really cinematic, and there is a crescendo. There's kind of a there's a massive climax. There are pitfalls like 9/11. Like it's a story. Like there's stuff happening. It's super cinematic. And then there's nothing like kind of them coming to the office after it's published, you know, like that was also, but that's like what makes it just a good movie, you know, regardless of the subject matter. It was well made. And I remember the anecdote of Ruffalo saying that when they were filming at shit, this is awful. I don't watch
Boston
baseball.
Globe.
They're filming at where the Red Sox play. I know there's a name. I even know the name of that wall. It's like the Green Giant. Anyways, that undisclosed location where the Red Sox play. When they're playing there, hold on.
Fenway
Park. Okay.
How did I
They're playing? They're filming at Fenway during a real like baseball game, and people are yelling at Ruffalo, calling him the Hulk, and they had to like tell people to be quiet because he's like freaking in the MCU at the same time. And I think that's like wild. But yes,
that is crazy.
Spotlight is good. Watch it. Heavy subject matter, but it really is up there with All the President's Men and kind of these truth-centric journalism.
Best movies. Journalism movies. We got to top 5 it.
We do. Let's see. Number 1, Fox News.
Just the station itself.
Tucker Carlson's documentary on manliness is number 1 for me. I have some other things that I'm going to save. I guess this one's kind of similar because it takes place in Boston, parking our car in Harvard Yard. but it's a documentary on Netflix called Manhunt Boston Marathon. It's a 3-parter.
Ooh, I almost watched this. Yeah.
It is not what I expected, to be honest with you. It is like a play-by-play on the Tsarnaev brothers, and the Boston Marathon bombings. But I didn't realize how many mistakes were made by the police and law enforcement. It is a very truthful retelling of it, and it's very patriotic, and it definitely highlights the victims, but at the same time it shows kind of the frustrations of some of the reporters to be like, well, this was bungled, pretty heavily. Like the manhunt, even the fact that they release the pictures of who they were.
Ooh, do they talk about Reddit?
They do.
Yeah, because I was
false
on
accusations.
Reddit,
yeah.
like checking they made a live thing, and people were
wild.
like, "It's this person," and it's all these wrong people.
It was so bad. There were shootouts that happened that didn't need to happen, like straight up shootouts.
Damn.
There were, and like to where people were just like, "Shit, there's 60 bullets in our house," and it was just like, wow. And then like it was such a everybody wanted to be there thing where police, like thousands of police officers, just showed up to help but didn't know what to do, so they were just doing police stuff and on their own. And then there was like they like were searching for him going door to door, and then they called it off. And I basically they caught these guys because of like brave citizens and not the police. They carjacked this guy, and this guy like put his life on the line and escaped and called the police. And because it was a new Mercedes, he remembered the satellite tracking number of his Mercedes, and they found exactly where they were. That wasn't police work. That was that guy, just doing that.
Hey,
and then,
I saw the Mark Wahlberg movie. I know this.
And then when they ultimately find him, it was a neighbor who checked his like car, his boat.
Right.
It was the neighbor, and he was like, "Oh, I found him." And there were thousands of police officers combing the area, and he was just 1 block away, and it was the neighbor that found him. And I was like, man, these are just normal people who caught the bombers, and it wasn't, the FBI or all these other people. But it was crazy. I didn't know that, and I was like, wow, crazy.
That was one of the craziest things to happen, like in real time. Like I remember where I was in school, in college at the time, where I was like checking on updates and like, oh, they carjacked a guy last night, the brother is dead. And it was it was like insane to like see that kind of playing out in real time. Wild story. I'll probably check that out. That sounds
cool. Watch it. I think it's good. Might be a little upsetting. It was more upsetting than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, what the fuck is happening over there? I think I was at a Dairy Queen when like it was on because Dairy Queen has a TV in it that plays the news, which is interesting. But I think I was like there, and it was like a movie because I was watching it, and a stranger like sat down next to me to watch it too. And I was like, I don't know this guy. But we were like, it was like a moment.
I'm trying to eat my fucking belt buster.
Yeah, I told him to fuck off. Fuck off. TV's taken. And then I switch it to cartoons. No, but I was like, this is like a movie. And then other people just wouldn't leave Dairy Queen because they were watching the news, So I was like, this is like
it's a big deal.
Interesting. Like it was not a cool moment, but like a very heavy moment. But yeah, Dairy Queen. I want to be at a Dairy Queen every time something big happens. I think
I'm gonna go get a blizzard and some
steak
terrible
fingers.
event. Steak fingers. Yeah.
Can you imagine being a guy when like something that big happens and getting upset because your blizzard didn't flip over correctly or something? They flip it so it doesn't come out
right out of the cup.
And I get pissed about that. And everyone's watching it. I'm like, hey man,
it worked for Biden. What the fuck's going on here?
Turn that TV off. You're getting distracted. Minimum wage worker. Okay. Any other big things you want to talk about?
No. Yeah. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a show on Apple that I will wait to talk about till I'm done. Hey, it ties into your thing, but this is super random. It's about one of the real life victims of the Boston Marathon bombing.
What? All our things have been connecting.
I know. Yeah. Stronger. It has Jake Gyllenhaal in it. Directed by David Gordon Green. came out a few years back. Super underrated, underseen movie that is like really, really good. It's based on a true story of a guy who lost his, I believe, legs. And just check that out. If you're, I guess, if you watch Manhunt and are like, I need more Boston Marathon bombing content. It's a very good, heartfelt movie.
Okay, well, we've watched all this stuff, and we'll be back. Like, we might watch Beau is Afraid soon, and we're like, maybe a week away from just constantly having giant movies come out because it's almost summer movie season.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But we've got a lot to talk about, so we'll be back next week to talk about more stuff. But this is on the public feed, so Brent, what do you have to plug? We need a drop for plugs. Actually, I need to make one of those.
Yeah, I mean. So first off, the Patreon, the Delphin Pod Patreon, check that out for a lot more stuff, a lot more. Yeah, I mean the video, you see our good looking faces,
our ugly mugs,
check out Countdown Strikes Back. We are finishing up Mandalorian. Mandalorian's done. We're going to record our final episode on that.
A part of me wanted to talk about that on this ep.
Ooh.
Just like an unfiltered one where we don't have to appeal to Daddy Iger. But no, we're not gonna.
I mean, we'll be unfiltered on the Star Wars one mostly.
You think so? Okay.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. The gloves are off, Bob.
The masks are off. I can't think of one character's name in the show. Beau.
Why do I feel like I have a plug for something else and I can't think of it now? I don't know. Just that stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Well, thanks so much for listening. You can find us on social media at Delphin Pod. We're verified on Twitter. I remembered that today. I don't know if that's good or bad for listeners. Probably bad. Should probably tweet more. I'll tweet at Elon Musk. Please follow Delphin Pod. Thank you, sir. But thanks so much for listening. Bye.